What's up, everyone? It's the Autistic Scyther here, and this is part 2 of my top 10 favorite video game villains. Which, honestly, considering how part 1's up, yeah, I suggest you watch that video before moving on to see the first 5 entries on that list, numbers 10 through 6, then come back to see this video. So, yeah, to see the remaining 5 entries. So, that being said, without further ado, let's get back into it. Moving on next at number 5, we have Hades from Kid Icarus Uprising. Yeah, in all fairness, naturally, considering when you think about it, in all fairness, any one of those from part 1, from 10 to 6, they could have at least been at the number 5 spot. I mean, heck, someone like Von Karma, Edelgard, or even Giovanni could have essentially been on this list, when you think about it. But Hades is on this list just for the fact that the guy is just, for the Greek god of the underworld, he is a complete and utter troll. And keep in mind, Kid Icarus Uprising is a remake of a game that came out in the 80s. So, yeah, it added more to it than we expected. But after defeating Medusa and basically seeming like you finished the game, the fact that Hades essentially shows up and rips away the credits before revealing that he's been behind this the whole time is honestly one of the best fake outs that I've ever seen in my life. And in all fairness, the fact that he more often than not is one of the few that more or less uses his subterfuge and trickery to basically play all sides really does say a lot. Plus, I have to say it, S. Scott Bullock brought Hades spectacularly to life in the game, as Hades was one of the hammiest that ever was. And this is coming from a guy who basically has not played all of Kid Icarus Uprising. Again, I played to a point where the Forces of Nature Army was introduced, but even with that, yeah. Honestly, Hades is just deliciously evil. That's all I gotta say. Moving on next, at number 4, we have Ridley from the Metroid franchise. Honestly, I have never played a Metroid game until recently. And surprisingly enough, the only game I've played was Metroid Fusion. So, in all fairness, why Ridley over something like the SAX? Well, 2 things. 1, I would be remiss if I didn't put Ridley on a list. And 2, he has been a basic thorn in Samus's side ever since the beginning. And this is even when you consider that it was Ridley who killed Samus's parents when she was younger. And ever since then, he's shown up to basically just, well, if anyone has seen that Dexter meme where Dokes comes out and says, "Surprise, mother," you know, well, that's basically Ridley in in a full-on nutshell. As honestly, he's shown up more often than not to basically just mess with Samus or even grinding her on the wall if you consider Super Smash Bros. Brawl or Metroid Prime. I mean, heck, even in Metroid Prime, he shows up near the end and basically just destroys one of the destroys the transporter just out of pure spite. That's just something else. And again, even death won't stop him, as Metroid Fusion as a whole has his DNA basically being used by the X-Parasites to create a version of Ridley that will face off against Samus no matter what. And as much as a lot of people hate Other M, honestly, even Ridley in that game is a very sinister looking baby. No joke. He is a very sinister looking baby. That just gives me the chills. Honestly, it's no wonder a lot of people have wanted him to be in Smash Bros. Ultimate. He is ruthless. I mean, heck, when he appeared in the trailer, when he was revealed, he basically flat out skewers both Mega Man and Mario. Just seriously, if he can do that, yeah, you know he's evil. Moving on, next at number 3, we have King Boo from the Luigi's Mansion franchise. Speaking of Mario, honestly, Ridley wasn't the first villain to basically ever do something to Mario out of either incapacitating or killing him, as King Boo was essentially the very first one. And again, the only Luigi's Mansion game I've played was Luigi's Mansion 3. But even then, it shows how powerful and terrifying a villain King Boo is. Especially since in the very first Luigi's Mansion game, he lures Mario to the mansion that Luigi won, and it takes Luigi to face his fears to essentially set foot into the mansion and find his brother, who has been trapped in a painting. Honestly, you gotta admit, he's one of the most sinister individuals. And the fact that it takes someone like Luigi to face off against him really does say a lot. But the sequels are where his ruthlessness truly shines. As he's not only shattered the Dark Moon, basically causing many of the ghosts around to basically take over multiple different mansions for themselves as an effort of revenge against our the green clad plumber. But in Luigi's Mansion 3, he pulls an entire gambit to basically lure not just Luigi, but Mario, Peach, and countless Toads and Egad to a hotel where he captures all of them in portraits. And as I found out, if you don't escape him in time, Yeah, Luigi gets captured and it's an instant game over. Yeah, I found that one out myself, and even I was surprised that happened. So yeah. But even with that, he turns the tables in Super Mario 64 DS as he ends up capturing Luigi in one of the paintings, meaning that he has to be rescued. You gotta admit, kind of makes sense. And in fact, I'm surprised King Boo is not the main antagonist of the entire Mario series. He's instead of Bowser. Since the Ghostly King has done more than the King of Koopas ever did. And I know that might be controversial, but it happens. Moving on next at number 2, we have Kefka Palazzo from Final Fantasy VI. Yeah, I know this is a common one for many countdown artists, or many artists in the countdown community. And honestly, while I had my work cut out for me, I couldn't escape Kefka. I mean, this clown is just too sinister a villain to not be considered the best villain. And this really says a lot, since Kefka is more or less one of the most ruthless villains, and he doesn't show it. I mean, he's silly, he's kind of whimsical, but more often than not, he basically has done some heinous acts. Not only poisoning the water supply of, I forgot that guy's name, but of an entire kingdom, but he also attacks like Sabin and Edgar's home kingdom, and he almost succeeds in destroying the world. Yeah, he won. And eventually it takes the entire party to head up to where you can find him, and he's basically there as the god of nihilism. And I'm a guy who is currently playing through Final Fantasy VI Advance. That being said, I could have chosen Golbez from Final Fantasy IV, but yeah, honestly, I had to put Kefka on this list just because. I wish I had played more games than the Final Fantasy games than the 4 I played. Finally, at number 1, we have Ganondorf from the Legend of Zelda franchise. Kefka is one of the most... Yeah, Kefka's pretty ruthless. I can tell you that. But he doesn't hold a candle to Ganondorf. Because this guy has been one of the has been a recurring villain in every Zelda game. And even in games where he's not a main villain, he basically just ends up stealing the show. I mean, and granted, that's naturally because as long as Link and Zelda are around, he'll be there to show up. And as much as I want to mention it, I really can't say too much here. That being said, that's all I gotta have to say. Ganondorf's number 1 just because. Those are all of our top 10 favorite video game villains. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.